Well, now that my worst list is out of the way, it is time to end the year on a much more higher note with my top 10 best films of 2023. Once again, a couple of things to keep in mind real quick. 1, this list will be ranked from 10 to 1, with 10 being amazing and 1 being peak cinema. And 2, and well, now that I really think about it, I feel like I shouldn't have to elaborate on my second reason, but I'm going to say it anyway. My second reason is that this list will be based only on the movies that I have seen. Now, there has been a lot of good movies that have come out this year, but I just couldn't make the time to go see them, unfortunately. But this list is only based on the films that I have seen this year, and I really shouldn't have to elaborate on that, but the reason being is because I got this weird feeling that I feel like some people, they put films or certain films in their top 10 lists, not because that is how they genuinely feel, but because it's popular to love that movie and they just want to fit in with the majority. I'm not doing that dumb shit. We keep it a bean on here. But y'all stay safe. Kicking off this list at number 10, we have Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, Killers of the Flower Moon is a film that I feel like every single person should watch at least once at some point in their life. This movie takes one of America's most darkest and least talked about tragedies and brings it to the big screen. And I have to give Martin Scorsese his props on pulling all these strings to make this movie happen. The beauty about this film, despite it being completely morbid, is that it doesn't have none of that Hollywood pizzazz in it. No, it is pure, authentic, and raw, and I appreciate that. And the stellar and gripping performances from Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and especially Lily Gladstone is just another reason to go and see this movie. And the production and the soundtrack is just beautiful. So overall, Killers of the Flower Moon is a must-watch film on so many levels, especially when it comes to educating folks on this dark point in history. At number 9, we have Creed 3. I love how Michael B. Jordan just casually came in, directed Creed 3, and made it not only the second best film in the trilogy, but one of the best films in the entire Rocky franchise. I think what I love the most about Creed 3 is that it kind of felt like a refreshing and new take within the Rocky franchise. Let me explain. Creed 1 and 2 focused on Adonis Creed along with his connections to the characters from the Rocky franchise. But Creed 3, it brought in a whole new character and had that new character and Adonis Creed be the main focus. And that is not to bash on Creed 1 and 2, oh no, or even the Rocky franchise at that. What I am saying is that I appreciated the direction that Michael B. Jordan took Creed 3. And boy, did he go all out. The performances were all incredible, but the biggest standout with the performances was Jonathan Majors. I'm sorry. Listen, I know people have their opinions on him as a person, whatever, but you cannot deny that he was one of the best parts of the entire film. I loved his story, I connected with his character, and honestly, I kind of wanted Damien to win in the end, I'm not gonna lie. Michael needed a character that was grounded, been through it all, and had an important connection to Adonis Creed. And when he got that character written out, he needed the perfect actor to play that part. And I think they struck gold when they casted Jonathan Majors. And the anime-inspired fight sequences, fucking amazing. Overall, Creed 3 was amazing, and I am truly looking forward to Creed 4. At number 8, we have Poor Things. Now, this is a movie that I wanted to do a review on. In fact, this movie deserved its own individual review, but for the life of me, with it being the holidays, I just could not get that review out in time. So this won't be a review of the film. This will kind of be rather more of a brief touch point of what I liked. First off, the story. Wow. I appreciated the amount of originality that was put into this film. So the story here is practically a Frankenstein and arguably a fish out of water story, where we have our main protagonist, Bella Baxter. I was wrong, Bella Baxter. We follow Bella Baxter as she is practically reincarnated, and we follow her on her journey throughout this entire film as she finds her purpose in this zany utopia. And the production in this film is just incredible. Like, it looks like something you would see straight out of a Broadway play. Like, it is gorgeous. And the performances all around are incredible, with the biggest standouts being Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo. So if you haven't seen Poor Things, which I believe is still in theaters, I recommend it. Fair warning, there is a lot of sex in this movie. Like a lot. At number 7, we have John Wick 4. This is one of the greatest action movies I have ever seen in my life, and it is the second best film in the John Wick franchise. I don't care. This movie is epic on so many levels, like, holy shit. Now, John Wick is known for its incredibly edited and carefully crafted action sequences. And in John Wick 4, they took that and just cranked it up by 9,000. Like, it is... Every single action scene had me at the edge of my seat, especially that one scene where we have the bird's eye view shot. That right there is movie magic. Now, I know some people may not care for the story in John Wick 4, but personally, I liked it. I actually liked the story. I feel like there was a lot at stake around this time compared to 2 and 3. Well, maybe I'm still riding the hype train for this film. You know what? No, I think the story is better. At number 6, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This movie is amazing. Funny thing is, I was going to put Poor Things at my number 6 spot instead of Guardians 3, but the reason why I put Guardians 3 at 6 instead of putting it at 8 where it was originally planned, it's just that I feel like with the current state of Marvel right now, Guardians 3 was like a beautiful breath of fresh air. And by a breath of fresh air, I really mean a return to form. This movie served as a reminder as to what made Marvel great in the first place. You had great characters, you had a fun and great story, and the villains, even though they were kind of here and there back then, the villain in here, the High Evolutionary, one of the best villains in the MCU. He acted his ass off in that movie, and he deserves all the love in the world. And in my review, I did say that even though I liked him as a villain, he did kind of yell a lot, and while looking back at it, it still is true. But again, look, with the current state of Marvel right now, it really made me appreciate Guardians 3 way, way more. Yes, the MCU gave us some bangers post-Endgame, but if you look at the bad and the good, the bad outweighs the good. And that is not good. And I just want to thank James Gunn for taking these lovable characters that we've grown and loved to appreciate throughout the years and giving them a satisfying conclusion that will please majority of fans. Because if this is the end of the Guardians, I ain't mad at it. But Guardians 3, yeah, I had to put it up this high. Also, that one-shot sequence, yeah, 6th place it is. At number 5, we have The Holdovers. Now, after watching this movie, I think about a month ago, give or take, by the very end of this film, I automatically knew it was going into my top 10. The Holdovers, at this current point in time, is one of my personal favorite Christmas films. The Holdovers has a lot of heart to it, with some funny moments, but overall, it's just a feel-good movie. Now, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would assume that Paul Giamatti is going to get nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role at the Oscars, and he's probably going to win that title. Listen, all love to Cillian Murphy, but Paul Giamatti, man, that performance was just absolutely incredible. Like, I'm almost speechless because I am just shook at how good he was in this film. Not to say that I didn't have faith in him, but this truly is like an evolutionary performance. I sound like a total glazer right now, but go see the movie, y'all. For real. At number 4, we have Godzilla Minus One. Oh, talk about a film that came out of nowhere. This film really came out of nowhere like a bat out of hell and said, "Good evening." Godzilla Minus One is the best Godzilla film in recent years. Now, although I did love Godzilla vs. Kong, if we're talking a solo Godzilla movie, Minus One clears. Like I said in my review, the Monsterverse kind of took Godzilla and turned him into an anti-hero. But in Minus One, this dude is just a fucking asshole. He is menacing. He is intimidating. You feel his monstrous presence. He is just leveling cities, leveling skyscrapers, terminating anyone that comes in his way. Like, this is that Godzilla that I like. And not only is Godzilla amazing, the human characters, I actually cared for them. I loved all of the characters. Everyone offered some sort of an important role in this film, and they were lovable, you relate to them, and you really were rooting for them. while also rooting for Godzilla. Rarely ever do we really see that. At number 3, we have Oppenheimer. Now, Oppenheimer has to be the first time, maybe in a long time, in which a group of people all came to the movie theaters and pretended they understood physics. Whenever Christopher Nolan drops, it's like witnessing a major event, kind of like the Super Bowl. So every time Christopher Nolan drops a film, that is practically the Super Bowl for movie buffs and just Christopher Nolan fans in general. Out of all the films this man has made, I might have to put Oppenheimer in my top 5. Everything about the film was just astonishing. The incredible and stellar performances from Cillian Murphy, Matt Damon, and especially Robert Downey Jr. And the entire cast as a whole was just phenomenal. And the fact that that bomb sequence was practical and not CGI, I can only imagine what that day was like on set. I don't really have a lot of problems with this movie. I guess you could say maybe the runtime, but given this story, I don't see how you can cram a story like this into like an hour and 45 minutes or even 2 hours. Like, I don't see how that would be possible. But overall, Oppenheimer is one of the most immersive, most engaging, and most grippingly intense films I have seen all year. Number 2, we have The Iron Claw. Now, if I can describe this movie in 3 words, it's pain, despair, and family. I didn't really know much about the Von Erich family or even wrestling at that when I went into this movie, but walking out, this movie makes me want to get into wrestling. And this movie really shook me to my core with how just incredibly executed this movie was. And this is one of Zac Efron's most compelling performances to this day. So I won't say much about it because I want people who don't know anything about the Von Erich family or even this movie at that to go in with an open mind, and you will surely be beyond satisfied. You know what's funny? After uploading my review of The Iron Claw, I was really curious into what people thought about Ric Flair in The Iron Claw. And apparently a lot of people did not like it. Yeah, they did not like his performance. They felt that this dude was doing a complete parody of Ric Flair. That just goes to show y'all. I really don't know nothing about wrestling. Before I get into my number 1 pick, I want to share a few films that I put in my honorable mentions. So these are just 4 films that I saw this year that I really enjoyed, but unfortunately, they just did not make the top 10. But I wanted to put the spotlight on these movies real quick because I think they are just amazing. And now, my number 1 pick for the best film of 2023 is Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse. I feel like anybody that knows me in real life should not be surprised by this, but Sony did it. They did something that they haven't done since Spider-Man 2. They managed to create a sequel that was just as good, if not better, than its predecessor, bring in new characters that everyone can love and connect with, bring back OG characters from the first film that makes us love and appreciate them even more, and deliver a sequel that is all around amazing and gets us hyped up for the 3rd installment.
No pressure then.
And yeah, Sony did it. The comic book style animation is just amazing. In fact, just how good it was in Into the Spider-Verse, it is even better in Across the Spider-Verse. Metro Boomin doing the soundtrack was a W pick. Again, the brand new characters, they are lovable. I like them. I want to see more of them come beyond the Spider-Verse. And this is just me. I'm just happy we got a black man as the lead. But Across the Spider-Verse, it's just, oh my gosh. It's just pure movie magic. It is movies like Across the Spider-Verse that proves that superhero fatigue is not real. Now, Disney Marvel fatigue, well, that's a whole nother conversation. But as far as superheroes as a whole, no. I just cannot stress how freaking spectacular, no pun intended, this movie is. I feel like such a little kid right now because, dude, I love Spider-Man. And they did all the characters justice. They did this movie justice. And Beyond the Spider-Verse, bring us home, man. But yeah, that is pretty much my top 10 list for the best films of 2023. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about my list. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you surprised at some movies that made it on the list? Were you surprised at some movies that did not make it on my list? Whatever you thought, let me know down in the comment section below. Wow, my voice kind of cracked there. But as always, guys, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you all in the next one. And Here's the 2024. Always drink water.
After working up the nerve, almost equal in size, I walked around with the iron for any wrinkle in time. I paid a piece of my mind for every nickel and dime, but never less than a 5 and never slept on a job. A killer crept on your squad, yet never left the garage, where your guide was close enough to see the flesh of his eyes. Get to the button and press, it's what the message advised. What's the threat behind the vest is where the testament lies.